Now, this is also to mention that the plan has, I mean, since there is no clear plan, the rumors of the intended plan maybe or maybe not have to acquire new presidential aircraft has sparked widespread criticism among Nigerians. Many of them are concerned about the country's escalating debt crisis. As of March, the Debt Management Office put Nigeria's total public debt stock to 121.67 trillion naira, that is $91.46 billion, comprising 65.65 trillion naira, that is $46.29 billion, in domestic debt and 56.02 trillion naira in external debt. The proposed acquisition of presidential air fleet has raised questions about the government's priorities and fiscal responsibility. Joining us this morning is the Director, Contact and Engagement Lucky Aiyedatiwa Campaign, Dr. Charles Marindoti. Good morning, Dr. Marindoti. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Good morning, Mr. Arge. Good morning, Nigerians.
We've seen the reactions that this has sparked on social media. In a number of quarters, it's been outrage, even though we can't categorically say that there is a clear plan to purchase a presidential jet. But do you see the need for this? Should there be a clear plan? Do you see the need for this, and can you justify it?
Yeah, thanks for that. You're very right when you talk about the outrage. I mean, if you can think about 22-year-old Nigerian who has a 22-month-old child that has not given full, meals in 2 days, you can understand if that person is clamoring when he or she hears that, Nigerian president is trying to spend this amount of billions of naira or millions of dollars to purchase a private jet. That would seem like a luxury. But when you look at it in the actual, fact of the matter, this is actually a very financially savvy move because, like you mentioned, in the last 1 year, we spent about, I think about $8 million or something like that. In the last 11 months, in the last 2 months, we spent about $15 million just to, repair this aircraft. So if you check the average fair market value of some of these planes in about 6 years, we would have started saving money, and that is just assuming that this is the cost of the maintenance. Maintains its this was got this rate and does not go up. And also there's also an issue with all those aircraft. When you think about it, the first one that is 19-year-old was bought by President Obasanjo in 2005. That was in 1998. Year-old plane. I mean, 1998 model plane. It was made in 1998. That was when I was in GS1. In 2005, when President Obasanjo bought this, there was no iPhone. So a lot of these technologies have, advanced, and so sometimes also finding mechanics to even fix these old, jets becomes difficult. That is because they all retire. And there's so that is why we might say it's not serviceable, because they won't find the skill. And also when you look at also the spare parts too, most people would have actually retired those jets, so there will be no economic advantage for companies to keep on making spare parts. And the money that we keep spending on this repair. I could remember my first car in the United States was $6,000. I was told to pay $1,000 to fix something that was going to cost me $45. So the cost of repair in terms of service and labor is a lot. So by actually making this purchase, the presidency will be saving Nigerians a lot of money. And this is a jet. It is not like, a car that you can take home, like where that most politicians do, which I am against. And the president is also not John Travolta that would, drive his own private jet into his house. The next president is going to, continued usage of this vehicle. So I think this is economically savvy move on the face of it. And I also don't think that our national debt, and not like I don't think, actually by the facts, by the numbers, our national debt is actually not increasing. It has actually decreased, even though the naira amount seemed to have increased. And I think a reporter wrote, so Jerry did justice to that. If you look at it in terms of value.
All right, Dr. Marindoti,
in terms of value,
just to be clear,
I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard this argument before, about, we are spending a lot of money fixing, repairing the jets, so we need to, would rather spend, a whole lot more money to buy a new one, instead of continuing to repair, which has been the popular argument from the APC spokespersons. But the challenge here is that many people are saying that Nigeria can't even afford it. It's not like Nigeria has money stored somewhere that we're going to, take to buy a new jet. We're, maybe going to take a loan or pull money out of somewhere, to buy a jet. And if we have a president who understands that the country is currently bleeding and cannot afford these expenses, you saw the backlash that came from the president's or the vice president's 21 billion naira house that many people also said was completely, unnecessary to spend that amount of money. You've also seen the backlash that came from spending 90 billion naira, for Hajj or pilgrimage. The criticism is pretty much the same thing, that the president should be considerate of the fact that the country currently does not have, that level of, wealth to buy a new plane and make do with other options. The presidency has 6 planes. 3 of them are reportedly, very bad. There's 2 others, or rather there's 3 others. And so can't Mr. President at this point make adjustments to show the Nigerian people that he understands that the country is bleeding and can't afford to buy new airplanes just for the sake of it?
I will first start by saying that I cannot justify the Hajj spending because, your religious journey is a personal journey. You are not going to take Nigeria to Al-Jannah. You go by yourself. So why are you using Nigerian money to, go to Jerusalem or to Hajj? I think it's the height of profligacy. I am not a spokesperson for President Tinubu. He doesn't pay my bills. I am just talking in actual fact. So I cannot in any way, shape or form, justify this. When you talk about the vice president's house spending, constructions, if you don't complete them, they are decaying assets. Things go bad. So, and these are things that, the budget has been already budgeted prior to, this is part of the Abuja FCT, Federal Capital Budget, that they decided that they wanted to complete, pending assets, pending constructions that the prices have increased over time. So if you look at the budgeted amount when the project started, compare it to the amounts that they spent to complete it, they would have saved a whole lot more money, maybe even spent like 50 or 80% less if they have completed it in record time when they awarded those things. So this is essentially the idea in terms of completing projects, but that one is different. But when you talk about this presidential jet, I don't know about the other 3 jets, because I know that the last time the president went to Saudi Arabia, I had to use a private chartered jet, which is going to come at a cost to the Nigerians, which is also going to be a lot much more. And the logistical dynamics of the president going on the commercial jets, waiting in line at the security points or whatever to take maybe an airpiece or something, it's also going to be cumbersome. We remember how everybody, cried when before the president moved to Ato Rock due to the traffic congestion and all. So if the president has to, Nigeria is a country that has obvious security challenges. So, if an assault on the safety of the Nigerian president is going to also have financial implications. I'm not even trying to talk about the health or the well-being or the welfare of the president right now. I'm trying to talk about just the money aspect of it, that the cost of the president and his entourage flying in commercial jets will be not as economical because of what it will be required by the Nigerian military to protect the president of Nigeria, our country, while he's, in flight. So I understand. But
it's not like we've done.
Nigerians are bleeding.
It's not like we've done, a proper analysis of what it would cost to fly commercial. Other presidents fly commercial. The Nigerian president would not be the first. President William Ruto flies commercial. So what exactly is the big deal about the president flying commercial? And I've also heard arguments, that him flying commercial would also even promote local airlines. If Hadi Sirika had done well with Nigeria Air, we probably wouldn't be having this argument now. We'll be using Nigeria airplanes to fly the president while the presidential jet is down. The APC government, first of all, is still investigating itself for the billions of naira that Hadi Sirika allegedly mismanaged while claiming to be, fixing Nigeria Air or setting up Nigeria Air. So while they're investigating themselves, wouldn't it be better to fly commercial in the interim, since we cannot at this point afford a new jet after telling Nigerians that they need to tighten their belt and they need to persevere for a little while. Do you get the point?
I understand. I get your point, and I understand the fact that Nigerians, because of the especially the nature of the hunger that is going on, which I think is the main problem that I think the president should fix. Because personally, I would say the president has not done great when it comes to the hunger management, the food crisis management. But when you talk about flying, even the Nigerian air, had it been commissioned appropriately, would have been for flying passengers. So imagine the economic costs to disruption that it will cause if the Nigerian president has to be flying that Nigerian air that should be carrying more people, because it will have pretty unique, itinerary. And when you look at the fact that you are saying, and we all know, not like you are saying, we all know that Nigeria has, has a problem when it comes to Nigeria has a problem when it comes to, for finances. We need to get investors. We need to grow the economy. You need to invest money in order to be able to grow that economy that we are talking about. So these are the things that I'm talking about when I say Nigerians need to, the Nigerian president needs to get his own private jets, his own form of transportation, be it chartered or renting. Because he cannot use commercial jets. Nigeria has security challenges. If God forbid the president of Nigeria should lose his life, it will also have financial implications on the Nigerian state too, and that is not what anybody wants. Just on the financial part, justification of it. Buying a new jet right now, they are definitely going to sell 3, according to what they have said. They are definitely going to sell 3. It's like you are trading it in. You are going to sell it 3. Maybe they use it for scraps or whatever, for parts, or just crush it. And you are going to buy new ones. And then that new one is going to be the property of not President Tinubu. He was flying private jet before he became president. It will be a property of the Nigerian people, of the Nigerian government, that successive presidents, just like President Obasanjo flew in this one, and then Yaradua, Jonathan, Buhari, and Tinubu after him did. Subsequent presidents for another maybe 20 years will be able to also use this. So Nigeria will be saving money in transportation.
All right.
I understand the visceral part of it. Definitely, I cannot dispute that.
Dr. Marindoti, from your assessment so far, would you say that this administration has shown concern, like genuinely cares about the needs of the Nigerian people with the way that it handled these affairs? Every other one, including this conversation about the jets. Would you say that this administration genuinely cares about the Nigerian citizens?
On the substance of it, yes. On the style of it, I can dispute that, because it doesn't seem as if the communication has been adequate enough in letting Nigerians understand the decisions that they are making and why they should stick with the president through this problem. Because this is not the problem of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The problem we're having right now is the problem of Nigeria. And I know a lot of people have criticized the 2 major decisions that are causing a lot of these ruckus, which is essentially the unification of exchange rates and removal of fuel subsidy. But these are decisions that have to be taken, otherwise Nigeria is going nowhere. Our economy will never grow. The foreign exchange that we are talking about, the poor people don't use it. The poor people don't use money. So when you give subsidy, when you have 2 multiple exchange rates, it is people like Dangotes and Adenugas and Elumelus that are benefiting from it. If every time I give you Osarage 1,000 naira, I give Olive 1 million, who am I giving money? That is what is happening. Even when you talk about this fuel subsidy too, even it's not that fuel subsidy, yes, the poor people use fuel, but the rich people use it more. So the rich people are the ones that are benefiting from the fuel subsidy. It is the same thing with the subsidy on electricity, which we need to fix too. It is the rich man that has all the gadgets, that lives in Band A, that has 20 or 24 hours electricity in a day. Whereas in the Southern Senatorial District in Ondo State, they've not had light in about 10 years, which is what Governor Aiyetidawa is trying to fix right now. So how many electricity subsidy have the people in the Southern Senatorial District of Ondo State gotten in the last 10 years? 0. But people in Band A are getting it. These are things that Nigerians need to know. India
I'm a little confused.
Too. In 2014, I was just saying, in 2014, India also removed their fuel subsidy. And right now, we have Indians in the United States finishing their postgraduate and going back home to get a job because they've been able to invest. You cannot keep giving money to the rich people that don't need it. You need to be able to take that money and then invest it in education, healthcare, good roads, infrastructure that will make the quality of life of all Nigerians better. This is state capture that the president is trying to free us from. But I think they need to still work on food because right now we have 85% import duty on wheat, 75% on sugar, about maybe 70% on milk products, which we use to make butter.
Dr. Marindoti,
so poor people are hungry.
Yeah, because I don't want us to confuse issues here. Are you saying that the idea behind subsidy removal and of course the electricity tariff new laws also are to take money from the rich and give to the poor?
Yes, because those subsidies are going to the rich in the first place. The poor man that has one bedroom apartment, has one light and maybe one fan, is not using the same amount of electricity per kilowatt hour as Dangote in his mansion. That is the truth. So when you subsidize electricity for each kilowatt hour, Dangote would have used maybe 1 million of it before that poor man uses 1. So those subsidies are going to the rich. And that is the reason why Nigeria is where it is today. I keep saying it. But
how does this this change now? What does that do? Because now the poor man that you're talking about has maybe 6 hours of electricity the whole day, and the rich man that you're referring to has 18 to 20 hours of electricity every day. So in what way has the poor man been helped? He's been given less electricity.
You are right. You are right, because the impact of these policies are going to be regressive at first. Because when you think about it, if you had 2,000 naira and I told you to pay 200 naira more, you may not be able to buy a plate of rice. But if I had 2 million naira and I am paying 200,000 naira more, which is both 10%, I will still be able to have a plate of rice, do dorime, have a good day. So that is what is happening. But the jury is out in that the fact that now that the government has this money, it can now invest it in the lives of the people. If the government, that is why you can see that, yes, even though we said the what's called our exchange rate is almost nothing, but President Tinubu has been able to pay down about 20% the value of the debt that he inherited from President Buhari. So I know we don't want to give President Tinubu any, credit. So that is why I want to thank Odumeje for using his ability checker to bring down the debt. So maybe if he should continue releasing his, powers, Indaboski and Babose will help us pay it more and fix all our problems.
Yeah, no one is, arguing about whether he should be giving credit or not. I'm sure that if there are things that Nigerians can see, evidently, that the president has improved in their quality of life, they will give him credit. But it's not. There's not a lot of things that you can point to this morning and say, in this regard, the president has improved the quality of life of the average Nigerian. The excuse, remains that 1 year is not enough. We're still in the teething stages. We're still building. That has been the excuse, since the administration started. But I want to ask, if you continue to, of course, have the same perspectives, will your views remain the same if we had a totally different person in office? If we had a Peter Obi, for example, in office, hypothetical situation here, would you, of course, I would support his idea of buying a new airplane when, of course, Nigeria currently is struggling with wealth and struggling to even pay salaries?
Absolutely. I will agree with you. I actually tried to support Peter. He was the candidate of the youth. I declined to go in that direction when he said he was not going to unify the exchange rate, because I always knew that this only benefited the rich. That was the only reason when he said it at Lagos Business School. So if Peter Obi had been the president, it is about looking at the numbers. It's about looking at that. I'm not even looking at President Tinubu's health or welfare or the possibility of having a plane crash right now. I'm just looking at the numbers. It makes a lot more economic sense for Nigeria to buy a new one and maybe at whatever financing rates and pay it off, and then you will not be spending those money that you are wasting fixing a dead horse, because those planes are essentially at this point dead horses. So and you are right when you talk about the fact that the Nigerian people have not felt the impact of these policies, because they say they are the first person to feel the impact of a negative policy, and they are going to be the last person to get their benefits. They are going to be the first to feel the negative side and the last to feel the positive side. So it will take time. That is why I feel like the communication needs to improve so that the Nigerian people know that President Tinubu is taking money from the rich and giving to the poor. When you look at it, the man you are looking at on TV right there, he is a billionaire. He has money. So when he valued Naira, he lost money too. He took a dagger to his own pocket. But he did it because he is serving people. He is not serving self. If he was serving self, he will preserve his own wealth. He lost wealth too. Because this thing is what we need to do. We cannot keep feeding the fat rich people. They don't need it. They should pay for what they are consuming.
All right, Dr. Marindoti, let's talk about sacrifice. Now, part of the last Salah holiday message that President Tinubu preached was talking about sacrifice and how that's the reason for that particular Salah, and urged the Nigerians as usual to keep sacrificing. Don't you think that maybe it's time for President Tinubu to sacrifice as well? If the Nigerian presidential jet is bad, he does have private jets, right? Shouldn't it be time for him to maybe fly his own presidential jet, his own private jets, and as opposed to buying a presidential jet? And I mean, we've seen presidents in other countries taking sacrifices. We saw it happen in Gabon. Yes, he's a military leader, but he refused the presidential wage and saying the presidential salary. So is it not time for him maybe to demonstrate that servant leadership by also making sacrifices for the people?
Yeah, they say that, but that would be him trying to play to populist, sentiments. When you talk about, especially if you go back to this private jet thing, yes, President Tinubu can use his own private jet to fly. He was using it before he became president. But what will the next president use when they come into office? They'll
figure it out. They'll figure it out by that time, because by then there maybe be some sense of normalcy. But for now, because the basics aren't even there.
The government is a continuum, so we cannot be saying that we are going to invest just for the 8 year or 4 years of President Tinubu. I think
we need to go. Dr. Marindoti, I have 10 seconds to quickly ask and get your answer. Name one thing Mr. President has done to show that he's also making sacrifices.
He unified the exchange rate and lost a lot of value to it. Took a dagger to his own pocket.
Is that a personal sacrifice for him? All right. You know what? We'll continue this conversation
he lost
another day.
Too.
Okay. Dr. Marindoti, thank you so much for your time with us. We'll love to have you again.
Thank you.